Okay, so welcome to video number 3 on my Airbrush Fast Track series, a 5-video series on how to master airbrushing profits. 3 airbrush mistakes that make nail techs so frustrated that they actually quit doing the technique. Yeah, 3. And I'm going to go into these with you because I've actually been there. I've done it. And I got the t-shirt. Well, not this one. It's a different t-shirt somewhere else. Don't worry about where it is. That's not the point. My name is Chloe and I've been doing nails for 21 going on 22 years. I love doing nails. I've been teaching nail techs for the past 10 years and doing airbrush for the same amount of time. And guess what? It's been a time saver and game changer, especially when it came to doing different type of things and making me stand out among the other nail techs in the area. Believe me, I have so many videos that talk about generating significant income with your nail art. And I've seen a lot of nail techs talk about this in the bottom of my videos. Oh, I want to do this, but I'm just not fast enough. With airbrush, you are going to get faster. So even if you're not confident enough to charge what you're supposed to be charging for the work that you're doing, you'll be faster so you can still remain profitable. So let's get into those 3 mistakes that I see nail techs making that's frustrating them and making them significantly want to quit airbrush and sometimes even doing nails. Mistake number 1 is going full throttle on the trigger. You don't need this much. Just a millimeter. That's all you need. Just a millimeter. Just a little bitty pullback on the trigger is how much you need. Personally, I do not mess with the PSI on my airbrush. I use the factory settings, but I noticed that you can control every single thing, how much airflow and paint comes out just with the pullback of the trigger. Honestly, it's about a millimeter or 2. It's really never a reason to go full throttle back unless you're just going to pull back on it and not press down and you're going to use the air to dry your paint. There's literally no reason to be 100% going hard on the trigger like this. That's mistake number 1. So the paint shoots out of there. It's a mess all over your client. You're mad. You're in a time crunch. Frustration's at an all-time high. I'm never doing airbrush again. I've heard it so many times. It's like my Batman call at this point. And you know what I'm going to say to you? Slow down. Don't pull back too hard on the trigger. That practice sheet that you downloaded from the other video is located in the airbrush guide. If you didn't download that, or if you just got to this video and it's the middle of the series, go ahead and go in the description, grab that guide, and that's going to solve a lot of your airbrush frustrations for you right there. It's totally free, made by me, not sponsored by any brands or anything. But if you're a brand, hit your girl up. Mistake number 2, which is a big one because I've seen a lot of girls go, my airbrush isn't working anymore. You know why? Because they've been using their airbrush with a gel polish and an acetone, or you shouldn't be doing that. Or they've been using their airbrush with a gel-based airbrush product and now they want to use acrylic paint. You cannot use those same products in the same handpiece. Why? Because they do not have the same chemical makeup, which means one that's water-based and one that's chemical-based, even though they're both liquids, it's going to jam the handpiece. But I cleaned it 100% with acetone. You don't clean your airbrush with acetone when you're using acrylic paint at all. It's actually soap and water. They have 2 different cleaning processes and chemicals. So that will lock up your handpiece. Now, does that mean you need to have 2 hand pieces? Yes. Do I? Definitely yes. But what I also do is I have a quick change gasket. So here I have a little connector, and this is in the guide too. And this allows me to use my same handpiece and different hand pieces with the same compressor, right? Money saving tip right there. 1, I only need 1 compressor, 2 hand pieces. Boom, done. I'm a little bit of an over shopper, so I have a bunch of equipment. That's not the point. We're not talking about me. We're talking about you. I'm helping you right now. So I do have a number of hand pieces just because, I mean, obviously somebody had to do the research to make the guide, and yeah, that was me. So the thing that I found that saved me time, effort, and energy was getting these quick change gaskets. That way I can use the same compressor and different hand pieces. And I didn't have to interchange my hand piece with gel or with an acrylic paint, and therefore end up locking my hand piece and taking something that cost me $200 and throwing it away. Because there's literally nothing you can do after that. After it locks up, that's it. Don't ask me how I know. It's not important. Our last and final mistake is practicing on clients. Listen, I'm all for trying a new technique. In fact, I love it. I do it all the time. Look at all the things behind me. I'm always trying something new. Believe me, but I never try something new on a client. Why? It establishes a pattern where they think if you practice something on them, then it will be less expensive. In no world is me doing art, nail art, or even any kind of technique after buying supplies and learning how to use it, is it ever going to be less expensive? So you do not want to train your clients to think, well, if I let her practice on me, then it'll be less expensive. Mm-mm. Don't practice on clients. Practice on nail tips or your days off where you're watching a movie or binging a show. Practice then. Take a few of your things home. Practice then. When you get to your client, you should be proficient in the technique. It should not be, I'm going to practice this on you. Maybe you want to try something new, and very clear. Trying something new, which you already know how to use, is very different than practicing a technique that you never did before. You don't want that frustration in front of a client. You don't want it to give you the connotation or them the connotation that every time you practice on them, it's going to be less expensive. And number 3, you don't want to run over on time. The best thing you can do as an operator doing nail services is run timely. You want to be on time. That way they always can understand. I know when I go to her, I'm going to get my nails done. It's going to take this amount of time because I asked for this amount of work. I'm out the door and I'm on to the next thing. We want to be cognizant of other people's schedules and our schedule as well. So we do not practice on our clients. We're proficient before they even get to us. So now that you know what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to join me in video 4, because video 4 is actually going to show you some of my students' work. These ladies actually committed to the technique, and now it's making them coins. They got faster. They're able to offer something new and stand out in their area, and that brought them in more clients. So join me in video 4, where we're going to get down to how this can really help you.